Hello, everyone, and welcome to the JT
And the Jersey Jewel.
Show.
Yeah.
How you doing, baby?
Why? What'd you hear?
Listen, I won't say it on air. I'll tell you later.
Makes me very nervous.
I hear it all. Just know I know a guy, and I hear it all.
I used to do that when I lived out in a little town, Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. My son used to get running around, and I'd get a phone call from one of the other kids' moms, one of the other buddies' moms. Hey, John. Yeah. Hey, just so you know, Jack, my son, Jack and Graham and Billy and Pete, they're down at the park playing some basketball. I know that they said they were going to be over here. Oh, okay. Thanks, Carol. Appreciate it. Click. So he'd come home a couple hours later, and I'd be like, son, how was Graham's house? Oh, it's fine. Like, why don't you tell me what you think you need me to know? What? I said, I have got eyes and ears all over this town.
That's right.
What do you mean? Now, I did this for a reason. I said, you weren't at Graham's house. You were over at the park playing round ball, playing some hoops. Yeah. I said, that's okay, but just know that I know. Oh, okay. I thought I was in trouble. I said, no. Just know that I know.
That's right.
Know that I know.
That's right.
I got eyes and ears all over this dinky little town. Oh.
So, listen,
Yes.
that's our job.
I know.
And we have people all over
I got a
watching
guy.
our kids,
Yeah.
right? And your kids, too. So that's a
Of
good
course. Yeah, in a good way.
thing. So, we have a really cool guest.
Yes, we do. Again with the really good guests.
Okay?
But what are we doing here? This is great.
This is great, right?
Yeah.
Hi, sweetie.
Hi, and thank you both for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I want you to give yourself a proper introduction. I want you to tell everyone who you are, hold up your book, and talk.
Okay. My name is Sheri Venza. I'm a professional dog trainer, and I don't use food, clickers, toys, or any other unnecessary things. I am the real deal as far as teaching people how to be a dog to their dog. The miscommunication comes in where people treat dogs like people and dogs treat people like dogs. Now, they can never think like us. We have to think like them. I tell people, look,
Wow.
if love was enough, I wouldn't have a career, okay? So love the way a human shows it is not how a dog perceives it, not initially, okay? So once the dog has what they need, then you get what you want.
Now, I have to ask who, I already know, but we're going to ask anyway, who's your little friend?
Oh, this is Raven.
Hi, Raven. Hi, baby. She's adorable.
Well, she's a cutie little patootie, I have to say.
So tell everyone about Raven first.
Raven, I've always had, shepherds, rescues, and all that, but this is the first dog I've had that's this small. She's only 6 pounds, and what an experience it was, both personally and professionally. I've been training for over 30 years, okay? It's all I do. But this one, she's a big dog in a little dog's body, okay?
Oh my.
And it was very interesting. It was a lot of fun, but it was really good for me.
But she's hypoallergenic, right?
Oh, she has hair, not fur. She's hypoallergenic.
I can do it.
See?
You should.
They made my day. That doggy kissed me, okay? Right on the lips, that's right. Okay?
Well, dogs are a good judge of character, and she just wanted to come right over to you, and she's usually not like that.
Made my day, sweetie. So, before I start with my nonsense, because I know you have some nonsense, why don't
What?
you start?
I was thinking about this coming down to the studio today, and there's so many people, and I've watched them, and I have no problem with them because 99 times out of 100 it works. But you see these shows like with Cesar Millan and so forth, and it's good, it's not so good, it's effective, it's not so effective, and even to a much lesser degree where this kind of thing specifically is concerned. Kind of from a similar but not quite exact perspective, my dad and I, he's gone now a couple of years, but he used to love to watch the amazing Dr. Pol on TV. Dr. Pol's a older gentleman up in central Michigan. He has a veterinary service. He'll care for your cows and your horses. He'll care for your lizards and chickens and dogs and cats and everything. And he's very good with the animals, just as a matter of course, especially dogs and cats and house animals, rabbits and whatnot, whereas some people just are not. How does that happen that the likes of a Dr. Pol does so well with animals, or again, like it or not, subscribe to it or not, but the likes of a Cesar Millan can do what they do when not everybody can?
It really comes down to the heart, you know? It's like, you know, you got to have that heart. I've worked with a plethora of trainers through my career, and some I was shocked that they even used that title. They had no business doing so.
Oh, my. Wow.
There's no regulations that determine somebody to call themselves that, and the more pieces of paper they have on the wall, usually the more inept they are.
Ooh.
Yeah, anybody can go get that. It's like, you know, and experience. I always say, you know, who does your vet recommend? Who does your kennel recommend? Who's your groomer recommend? Who has results? Your neighbors, your friends, see the results.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, one of the reasons I do not and will not, and you have to be careful because I'm jumping around a little bit.
It's okay.
When you look at the TV and watch these shows, you
Right.
have to remember they're edited for TV.
Oh, I would
I
imagine.
saw one of his shows. I had to shut it off before the TV went sailing, okay? Because people follow what he had on there, and it's made for TV. And I can't tell you how many people get bit.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, there was one show specifically where he had a little chihuahua on his lap, okay? And it was a mother and son. And this dog is up on his lap. Now, the poor dog, dogs communicate to us. We just aren't usually aware of what their conversation is.
Correct.
So this dog's on his lap, and he's holding it. Now, touch his prey. So he's holding this dog. The poor thing is growling. It's stressed out to the max. You could see it. Its lips are up, and it had bit the mom numerous times, the son numerous times. So here's his solution. You sit on the couch, and you hold the dog on your lap and just hold it there till it stops. Okay, excuse me, but you're giving the dog really mixed messages here. Where my solution is the dog's on a harness and a leash, and you take it and keep it off the couch. Problem solved. Now, which do you want to do?
Right.
You know? The irony is I can always tell people, you know, here's why your dog's doing what it's doing. Here's what you need to fix it.
Right.
It's people. It's people.
No, of course it's people.
It
Come on.
always is.
It's people with everything, guys. It's
It is,
people.
but, you know, it's like, oh, but I want to do this with the dog. I want the dog up on the couch even though it's bit my child. That
No,
makes
no.
me crazy.
It's, you know,
an
it's the continuance of ridiculousness, doing the same thing over and over again, thinking you're going to get a different result. If the
Yes.
dog is on the couch and is just nasty on the couch, then this just in. Don't put the dog on the couch.
Right?
Just a little helpful tip from your Uncle John. There you go. Okay.
People are complex thinkers, and they complicate dogs. Dogs are animals. People humanize them.
Right.
And I understand that. We get dogs because we love them, their companionship.
Of course.
Better than other people most times.
Sometimes.
But, you know, there's different breeds. There's different makeups. You have to know what you have, and is this the right breed for what I want? You know, it's like not a one-shoe-size-fits-all.
No.
Wait, I saw something really funny years ago. You've probably seen it, and you probably have as well. So it was like a comedy cartoon, and it's showing aliens reporting back to their stations about us, watching us walk dogs pooping and cleaning up their poop, like who's in charge, okay?
Isn't that funny?
Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right, I have a question. So you've been doing this how long?
Approximately 30 years, probably a little better.
Okay, so, of course, I want to know what made you get into this, but what made you get into this the more natural, organic way, the right way?
You know, it's funny. Ever since I was a kid, I was always like animals. I would find all the strays, cats, dogs,
Me
birds,
too.
everything, right? I always loved animals. And the funny thing is I was always a big why person. I like to figure things out.
Me too.
There's reasons for everything, right?
Of course.
And so why is a dog doing this? And I found it fascinating. To this day, I've been doing it this long, and my goal now, it's what the beauty of it, it's, you know, as I've learned about the dogs, which is always the easy part, I had to go to a person's home. Within 5 seconds, I had to get everybody's attention to focus, right? And come across in a way that they were receptive to it. Because at the end of the day, for me to be able to help that dog, I had to get the people to want to do it. Ironically, as my career progressed, then it became, you know, the dog's the non-issue. I'm really helping dogs and people, and what a blessing to be able to do that. It's like a twofer. So I'm helping the dogs through the people and end up helping the people.
So I always say things as well, because I've had every animal in the world. I mean, I've had every snake. I had an animal room, had it all, spider farms and ant farms and on and on.
Makes my colon twist.
Listen, I love it. I had snakes wrapped around me and I would go into grocery stores,
no,
okay?
no.
But anyway,
No,
the
sir.
funny thing about all this is, everybody that knows me knows I'm a nutritional health coach. I do everything natural, all organic. When I got the call, let's give Tim
Hold on a second.
Calipis.
Right over there. Could you pass me the bottle of MSG right over
He
there, could you?
is such an idiot.
What?
Tim
I'm just-
Calipis, we got to give him a shout out because he introduced us. He's a good friend of
Thank you,
both
Tim.
of ours.
Yep.
He said, Jer, you have to have her. And he said some reason. I was like, yes. I mean, this is so cool to me that you're training dogs naturally. That's what I love.
Well, it takes a lot more time and commitment versus the food. Now, I'm not downing any other
Right.
method, okay? But for me personally, I had a dog that I rescued when I knew nothing about dogs, and it was a black lab, but I didn't know that at the time. It was 50 pounds. They brought it out, said it's going to be put down tomorrow. So there I go, driving away with this dog. Now, another 60 on top of the 50. I had a 110-pound beast that used to take me body surfing down the road.
That's
My
great.
neighbors would come out to watch the show. But he didn't mean to hurt me. He didn't know how strong he was, but he did. So I sent the dog away to be trained. Well, first I used the food method. And the vet said, are you trying to kill your dog? He's fat as a house. I go, well, how do I get him to listen? He said, I don't know, but you can't do this no more because it's going to affect his health. He's only a year old. So I sent him away. I'm thinking, oh, they'll get this great trained dog back, right? Well, I get the dog back. The day I get him back, I go to the mailbox. I come in 5 minutes talking to a neighbor, whatever. When I tell you my couch was gone, I am not exaggerating. All that was left was the bottom frame and the metal spirals.
Oh.
And here's this black lab with stuffing out of his mouth. Look like it's funny now, but not then. I burst
No.
into tears. I was like, the dog's untrainable, or I failed the dog, I didn't realize there were different methods of training, and somebody had said, try this trainer, so last-ditch effort. When I saw the difference in my dog in 45 minutes, I was furious.
Talk louder.
In 45 minutes, I was furious because it wasn't the dog, it wasn't me, it was the misinformation.
Right.
So that started me on that path.
Beautiful.
To this day, that ended up being one of the best dogs I ever had. Got him completely off-leash trained. But see, the thing is, I use this analogy with my clients, okay? The reason I don't use food, let's say your dog's headed out, got outside and is chasing a squirrel or a cat or something. There's a car coming. Your dog's headed towards the road. You got one command to get that dog back to you before something really bad happens.
Yeah.
I don't care
Wow.
if you're waving a filet mignon. Your dog's not looking at you. You're looking at the back end.
Yeah.
So what good is your food training at that point?
Doesn't work.
That's, well, and that's where, and again, I'm not downing it. There have been, appointments where the dog was horrifically abused, where I had to use food to start to build that trust.
Of course.
But then, you wean off
Right.
it. So I'm not saying it's, an absolute no. I'm just saying, as you get more into training, it has to come from the commitment of the owner to build that bond. And that's why I don't use it. I've never needed it.
Talk to us about your book, because I love the title, don't you?
I do.
Yeah, this book, Calling All Canines and Their Owners.
And their owners.
This
That's
book
the
was
thing.
Talk to your
Oh,
audience.
sorry. This book was compiled after the first 10 years of my career, where I was getting, the pretty much consistent, issues and questions people were having with their dogs. So I'm like, you know what? I would love to be able to reach a wider range of, people who could be helped with their dog by having information. And the one thing different about my book versus all the others, you don't need food, clickers, toys, nothing. This is the real deal. It's the foundation of which all dogs should have. All of them. It doesn't matter age, breed, gender.
Right on.
And it's just to give you basic information that, and people cringe when I say this, it's an animal. Okay?
Yeah.
Yes, we humanize them. And I've had people actually start crying like, it's an animal. You have to treat your dog like the pack animal it is, so it can behave like the dog you want, so you can then treat it like the person you wish it was, but then the dog understands that it's a perk and not its right.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's, you have to put the commitment in time. One of the biggest issues I have with most people is you have to exercise and socialize the dog. It is imperative for the well-being of the animal. Now, people with socialization, they think, oh, you take the dog out, let every person and dog approach. That's the wrong thing. You're setting a precedent where you're now creating a foundation where the dog has the right to meet everybody it sees. So what you want to do is teach the dog that you're in charge when you are walking, so when it sees other dogs, it's not dragging you over. You know, not all dogs are friendly.
No,
You
they're
know,
not.
some dogs that if they were attacked at a young age,
That's
best
right.
defense is a good offense, okay?
right.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of times the owners who rescue these dogs don't even know the dog came with that behavior. Okay? And
Well,
you
how
won't
would you
it.
know? You're seeing what you see, and that's all that you know.
Right, so you see this fluffy, really cute golden retriever. Oh, they're friendly, right? And here this poor dog was traumatized because it had been attacked as a puppy. So your dog approaches and the dog feels threatened. I'm going to get them before they get
Right.
me.
Right.
These are animals. You know,
Right.
that's why.
But even children, it's the same thing. If a child is abused, right? So it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Thing of it is, I mean, you know, and it's kind of, yeah, gee, no kidding, but the one thing lacking, whether it's a dog or a cat or what have you, they can't tell you. They
That's
can't
right.
talk to you.
They
you know.
can't. And, you know, I use this analogy with people, all right? Suppose you didn't have your dog with you, but you had a 1-year-old child that you're responsible for, whether it's your own or whatever. You're out walking. Would you let every stranger come up and pick up
Ew.
your kid? I mean, and people look at me, I'm like, yeah, dogs are animals. They're hardwired to be leery of strangers. It's very stressful because people say, look how excited the dog is. And I'm looking at the dog like this poor thing's in the middle of a complete meltdown.
Yeah.
Okay? Calm dog, secure dog. Hyper dog, stress dog.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, and you know, when dogs, people think, oh, look, it's hugging me when the dog's jumping. Dogs do everything for a reason, and
Right.
it's usually not the reason people think. You know, jumping is dominance. You know, mouthing, there shouldn't be tug of war, okay? This big thing, oh, that's how you play with a dog. Actually, it's promoting unwanted behavior in the future.
Wow.
Because when a dog has something in its mouth, I don't care if it's a stick or a filet mignon. What's theirs is yours if they respect you. And if they're holding it back, it's not about the item. It's about position. So, you know, all these little nuances make a big difference to the dog. And that's what I tried to, you know, in general terms, put into this book, just to give people different information than what the norm was based on my own experience, you know? So, you know, it's not a training book where you could get a dog and then have it trained completely. This is just the foundation, what to do, how to do, and more importantly, why to do it based in the house. That's usually the missing link with all training I followed behind. It's like, yeah, the dog's healing, it's doing this or that. Well, a dog spends the bulk of their time in the house with you in your home.
Right.
That's where most behaviors start, get worse, because they don't have structure in there. To the dog, it's just a different environment where they're in charge. That's why they have to have structure in the house also. But I help people. It's like you don't have to, you know, you teach the dog what's expected, but to its natural instincts. Like, for example, when you're eating, cooking, or cleaning up, that dog shouldn't be near the table,
True.
you know? And the dog already knows this. It's instinctive for them. You know, it's the top dog who eats, the rest of the pack hangs back, and all this stuff where, oh my God, some of the crazy things I've heard and seen with quote unquote trainers. You know, look, that's really funny. That's really interesting. But let me tell you what's really going on here.
Wow.
You know, dogs are simple. They really are. And
Now,
you know,
is there a common denominator, whether it's a little dog like what you have or a large dog that you just talked about earlier?
absolutely. Fundamentally, they're all the same. They're all pack animals. They all need structure.
Got it.
All of them. You know, when I had her, I had my shepherd, and I laughed because I had some intense shepherds, right? And they were trained off leash, the whole 9 yards. And this one, this little 5-pounder, okay? So she would do something to challenge me, and I'd be like, no. And my shepherd would be like, uh-oh, Mom's, you know. This one, back up and start barking at me. I'm like, oh, no, you're not. I'm like, oh, my God, I can't believe this sassy little thing.
Attitude.
well, because
Yes.
this is what I believe, and I could be wrong. Tell me. The smaller they are, they know they need to have a little bit more power, right?
The smaller they are, the more people spoil them and let them get away with things they wouldn't let a
Okay.
big dog get away with.
Okay.
So what happens, it's the
Okay.
same. That's what I mean. The
Isn't
common
she
denominator.
cute? I think I'll go ahead. That's okay.
Why'd you do that, Mildred?
Because she's cute.
Okay.
I found myself doing the same thing, and I'm
Yeah.
a trainer. I mean, I had to have appointments with myself. I found myself picking her. You wouldn't pick
That's
up
great.
a 100-pound dog.
No.
You wouldn't let a 100-pound dog, you know, jump on your company. We let little ones get away with stuff. And by the way, the training is different. Where, like with a mid-sized, a large breed, you would have them in a crate. The little ones, when they're small like this, you know, I'm talking like the minis, the toys.
Yeah.
They have to have access to food and water. okay, every 3 hours, especially when they're little, or they could go in the hypoglycemic shock.
Yikes.
Yeah, you have to. So she had to have a pen where she had everything in there. I never used a pee-pee pad. She had to have a pee-pee pad, and food, water, her bed. It just a completely different experience.
Wow.
But then the fundamentals, for example, toys. Nothing stuffy, fleecy, woolly, or fabric related. It teaches an animal to chew up your house. They can't tell the difference between their stuffed animal and your couch
On your
cushion.
couch.
I
yeah,
love this.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, but if you think about it from their perspective, it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And also, it doesn't give them relief for chewing. You know, they get a stuffed animal, they tear it apart, they swallow it, right off to the vet for a very
Oh,
expensive
hello.
surgery. Yeah. So, and these pet stores don't care. They want your dog to chew it up, so you go buy more. It's all about money.
Exactly right.
No
So
kidding.
having the right toys, doing a toy rotation, 3 bags, 5 toys per bag, day 1, bag 1. So by the time you get to day 4, they're back on bag 1. They think every day's their birthday because they got new stuff. So you're educating them with clarity because
Wow.
their toys don't resemble anything in your house. So it's like, that's what I mean
Give
by
us an idea of a toy then.
like a Benny Bone, okay? Or a,
What's a Benny Bone?
it's a product that, you know, it's hard, and when they chew on it, gives them something to work at. It only comes off in little tiny slivers, and they can't absorb it. It goes right through them.
Yeah.
So that's a safer toy.
Yeah.
Like bones, like hard bones, you got to be very careful.
Right.
You know, I don't recommend them because, you know, there's so many variables to it. Where were they sourced from? Are they safe? Are they, you know, are they sterile? Because they could have, you know, parasites or God knows what in them, you know? I mean, the biggest thing that people do, or I'm sure you've heard of bully sticks, right?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what a bully stick is?
No.
It's a bull's penis. It's a castrated bull. That's what it is. And I have to tell you, right?
He's going to have this material for his next show. I already know this.
But
All right,
I
go
was
ahead.
I was in a pet store
No,
one time.
that just.
No, really,
Oh.
I didn't. I was shocked. And I'm in this pet store, and here comes the Girl Scout troop in there, right?
Ow.
And the one girl, I couldn't help myself. I'm standing there, and the one girl, they didn't know what it was, you know. But the one girl goes to the other one, "I dare you to lick that." And I'm like, "No, don't do it."
No.
So it really is?
No, it's a bull's penis. It really is.
Ow.
It's a castrated bull.
Gee.
That's what it is.
And
And the slaughtering practices.
that's
that-
not a toy of yours, is it?
Oh God, no. I would
Okay,
never
good.
recommend that.
Thank you, God.
I do not recommend any animal parts.
Good night, folks.
Do
It's been
not
charming.
recommend to use this in your home.
No, I do not.
That's JT the
That's-
Jersey Jewel, care of Jerry Petito. That's Jerry Petito. Don't forget Jerry Petito, care of JT and the Jersey Jewel. Spiegel, Chicago, 60609. Oh, wow.
But see, the whole thing is people educating themselves. What breed do you have? How much
Right.
the appropriate way to socialize a dog? Okay.
Well, now I imagine, and maybe it doesn't, but does that or better, how does that vary from breed to breed? Like, for example, I mentioned before we started that when I was a kid from age 5 to 15, we had a basset hound, and she was as docile as can be and pretty well pleasant. I used to dress her in my pajamas when I was like 7, you know, and my dad would be, "Hey, get over there, get a picture." And, you know, she was cute. We put a, you know, Christmas bow on her head, and she'd sit there like, "Really?" You know, and she was just cool as the other side of the pillow. And then all these years later, my wife and I got the Jack Russell Terrier, and it was like the dog was always at Jittery Joe's coffee shop, for crap's sakes. I mean, it was just, you know.
Because those dogs, the difference with the two breeds, okay, the one's a scent hound, right?
Yeah.
The Basset, but the Jack Russells were bred, the terriers overall, to go after other furry animals and kill them. It kept the barns free and clear from mice and rodents and stuff.
Wow. Yeah,
so
yeah,
they're
yeah.
always on. They're bred to have that level of energy.
We had a mourning dove that used to light on a little shelf out of our back door window. They would come every year and make a nest. Even when we would put stuff up there, they'd come back and they would, you know, make a nest. One night we came home, and I guess we put the light on, and the mourning dove kind of flipped out, opened the back door, and right into the house it went. Chase was her name. Chase, I was running around like a lunatic. The bird dives for some reason.
Got her, right?
No.
Yeah. Well, that's
Oh, it was amazing.
That's
It was
what they're
off-putting, but
bred
that's what
for.
and everybody did the same thing. My wife, you know, my son, you know, I'm like, yeah, but that's kind of what they do, because I had
They're
heard that
animals.
they go and they
I
get.
mean, listen, I love animals, but I always say each animal has a path, and that's, you know,
Yeah.
that's normal. It's life. you know?
Look, it's a generalization. I've responded to, Rottweilers that thought they were labs, and then I responded to golden retrievers that thought they were German shepherds.
Oh, gee.
So coat doesn't guarantee. And, breeding, I have another pet peeve, Everybody's about rescue, 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 which it's great to
It's
rescue.
fine. However, go ahead.
However, ever since the past 3 years, these virtual rescues have
Right.
popped up, which is such BS, I have to tell you.
Okay.
They're taking these dogs right off transport.
Tell them.
I'm sorry. They're taking these dogs right off transport. They are not fostering them. So these traumatized animals are already in a state of shock. They're coming
Yeah.
off of these, transports, and they're being put right into somebody's home.
And it's for this.
Oh, of course it is.
money.
Follow the money.
Of course it is. Now, the thing is, New Jersey had stopped,
This crap.
puppy
I
mill
know.
pet stores and all that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
However, that just exploded the real puppy mills now because all these, it used to be when I was a kid, there's my age here, but you very rarely got a puppy from a shelter. It was usually the older
store.
dogs, right?
Yeah.
They went to a pet store. So what's happening now, all these puppies, they're all puppies. The puppy mills have exploded. They didn't take care of the root of the problem, okay? So what they did is they got rid of the middleman, which, believe it or not, had some kind of structure as far as the inbreeding, the crossbreeding.
Yep.
I could not believe, because now they were just breeding for money. They didn't care, inbreeding across the board. That affects dogs genetically. You
Yeah.
cannot fix genetics. You cannot do it. Okay, I'm sorry. And usually you won't know that. See, the dog fully matures about 18 months, 2 years, depending on, breed and gender,
Of
but
course.
just as a generalization. That's when they're fully matured. That's when you're going to get the full gamut of it. And that's when, okay, if they're genetically dysfunctional, dog has to be put down. Can't fix it.
Whoa.
I have a question, and this is going to be a tough question and answer for you guys to hear, but I have to ask it. Okay? And if you feel like you shouldn't answer it, that's okay as well. So I had a friend who owned a pet store forever, sold dogs, puppies, blah, blah, blah. I asked him, and he really ignored the question. What happens when these dogs, these puppies, are not sold and they get older? What do they do with them?
I can't really answer that because I don't know for sure.
Okay,
So I really can't say for certain, but there's a reason why there's just puppies.
right. And he
Wow.
kind of, okay. So I thought.
See,
so.
my problem, I mean, okay, it's a funny episode. I don't know, but so many of us have seen the Honeymooners episode where Alice gets the
yes.
dog. Ralph comes home and that dog's got to go. Well, fine, Ralph, you want it gone? You take it back to back then, the pound. And he goes back to the pound, and he's like, oh, you're killing me over here. Hey, and then the next scene shows he's got like 18
That's
leashes,
right.
and he's walking out with all the dogs
That's right.
because he feels bad. Yeah, that would be me.
That would be me too.
It's you see this, and then you see the commercials on TV. I can't watch them because full disclosure, biggest blubbering fool in the world when it comes to seeing the little doggies and the kitties on that commercial about won't you help? I'm like, oh my God, I wish I could. And it's there again too. Maybe I'm jaded, but I'm thinking that somewhere along the line, it's again about the money.
Yeah, they're
you
making
know?
everything about the money, even this now.
Yes, follow
Yeah.
the money.
It's crazy.
It is, and unfortunately, these wonderful families with children pay the price. And then the root of the problem, get rid of the puppy mills. I actually, and I feel bad. I've had people I've responded to who said that they felt bad getting a dog from a breeder. I'm like, no, that is especially when you have children.
Yeah.
That's where you want to make sure you're getting a dog with a good temperament.
Right.
And genetics is key for that.
Okay.
So I always, not always, but 99% of the time, encourage people with small children especially, you get a clean slate, you get a reputable breeder where
Right.
you know you're going to get a genetically sound animal, because when they're not genetically, functional, they're dysfunctional from crossbreeding, inbreeding, whatever the case may be. It's like having a loaded gun. You never know when it's going to go
Oh,
off.
gee.
And when there's children, I have a very, very strict, boundary when it comes to kids
Yeah.
with animals.
Yeah.
Okay? And one of the biggest pet peeves I have, when you have children, you keep that dog off the furniture and the bed. When I was a kid, there was a saying, let a sleeping dog lie.
Yeah.
When a dog is sleeping, it's an animal. If it's abruptly awoken when it's dreaming or in REM sleep or whatever, it wakes up defensive.
Yeah.
It's a survival mechanism.
Right.
So, you know, if the dog is in the bed, which it shouldn't be, when, you know, the child turns, or if the dog's sleeping on the couch and the kid doesn't know and runs over, they can get bit right in the face, and I've
Yeah.
seen it. I've
You're
seen
right.
it. You know, so it just makes me crazy. You know, like, have a little bit of respect for your child and keep the animal on the floor. I know that sounds terrible, but
No,
I
no,
can't
no, no,
tell you.
no, no. It doesn't
I
sound
have,
terrible
I
at
have
all.
another question for you about your book and about what you do. So I want you to tell everyone out there, like, first of all, before we forget, how to get in touch with you, okay? 1 second, how to get in touch with you, but also what you're going to offer, and you've talked a lot about it, what you do, but give them a little briefing on what you would offer versus another trainer.
What was the first part of that question, Jerry?
Okay, how to get in touch with you.
Oh,
A
my
train leaves
website.
Chicago at 12 o'clock.
My website, it's Calling All Canines, and it's spelled out CANINES.com. You could reach me through a contact form on my website. And I usually go by private referral. That's why I screen people, because I'm not taking phone calls anymore, because I don't have the time.
You took mine, girlfriend. I feel special.
Well, no, you're
don't
different.
Special ed. What? Thank you. You're waiting for that, weren't you? No, I'm just a joke. She's.
ahead.
No,
My
because I'm
radio
not there
friend.
to debate my methods, okay? They work. But the difference with my methods is it takes more commitment work on the owner's part,
Mm-hmm.
but the results are for the life of the dog.
Okay.
Okay, so I
but-
only deal with serious
So
people.
basically,
Okay.
a little upfront, as my father used to say, you got to put some effort into it up front. So a little upfront effort.
I love it.
Well, he was from Brooklyn, you know. Little upfront effort, and then you've got a real good friend for many, many, many years.
Oh yeah, you have to. And listen, there's no reason why even the initial puppydom, which is crazy.
Well, it doesn't need to be frenetic.
It
It
could
doesn't
be
need to be
fun.
off
That's
the
my
wall.
goal.
Exactly.
See, if the person's not having fun, they're not going to do it. There's no
Right.
reason why it shouldn't be fun. So what I do is I try to teach people how to think like their dog. Dogs can't think like us.
Correct.
I can't tell you the reasons people give me for why their dog's exhibiting behavior. It's pretty fascinating, actually. I'm like, wow, that's really interesting. But let me tell you what's really going on. Dogs do not do things out of spite or anger. They're not even capable
That's
of
right.
it.
Wait, I have to say something about that. I'm so glad you just said that. Guys, listen. This is the truth, and it's not just about dogs. It's about animals. I am an animal lover. I've taken photos of crocodiles in Australia 6 feet in front of them. Listen to me. And I've swam with frickin' sharks. I kid you not. Here's the thing, and I want people to understand something. Animals only attack if they're hungry or threatened, okay?
That's it.
You have to be a little smart. I'm not saying go walk in front of a crocodile like I did, but I'm just saying you have to be a little bit smart. The animal is not at fault. I don't really care what happens here. The animal is not at fault. What you're saying makes so much sense, and what you're doing is amazing. When you, let me ask you this. Do you really train the person more or the animal? Who gets
It's always the
trained?
person.
It's the person, right?
The dog already knows what I'm doing. I'm teaching the person.
This is great.
because
there is, and I apologize, but I just now thought of this. It's,
For interrupting you, he's
oh, no,
apologizing.
that's it.
but it's just, but from what you were saying, it's now a 40-some-odd-year-old movie, Caddyshack. Okay, so there's Bill Murray playing that Carl Spackler character, and he's after the gopher. Okay, remember, he's after the gopher. And basically, it was in order to get the gopher, he says, you have to think like a gopher, act like a gopher, and whenever possible, even look like a gopher. It's a funny line because of the faces that he made and then the whole premise of the movie, but that's kind of where it is. In order to succeed with the dog, you have to think like the dog, act like the dog, and you don't need to look like him, but I mean, I guess it wouldn't hurt. But, but you have to think and act, I guess, as the dog would, because they're not capable of going vice versa.
Exactly, and that's exactly where the miscommunication comes in, where people treat dogs like people and dogs treat people like dogs.
This is so cool.
You have
Yeah.
to go to the dog's level. There's no such thing as a bad dog.
Oh, wait, I swear
I
that was
have to
just in
tell
my
you that.
head.
It doesn't exist. I swear.
Right?
People
I
do
saw it.
not
Right in the- no,
listen.
right over there. There it is. There it is. I see it.
People do not listen to the dog's communication.
Yes.
A growl, and I put this in my last chapter of quote unquote aggression. I don't even like that term. A dog doesn't just bite. a dog never just turns unless it's genetically dysfunctional, but that's
Well, that's
used to be rare,
different.
but I had to put that in there.
Yeah.
People don't pay attention to the warning signs. It starts off with a growl. From the dog's perspective, they're given a warning.
Right.
Hey, sometimes you're the boss, sometimes I am. It could be something like, you let the dog walk outside ahead of you, inside ahead of you. The information the dog processes is it's the leader of you. It's responsible for you, not to you. Little things like that make a big difference from the dog's perspective, okay? So the dog's like, all right, you told me I'm the leader. Now you want me to listen to you. You're stressing me out. So the person could like try to take his toy, whatever, and the dog, little growl, all right, they're not getting it. I got to up the ante. Oh, they're still not getting it. Then they lift the lip, then they show teeth, air bite connection. It's a process.
That is so
It doesn't just happen.
ridiculously cool.
And do you know when I get calls for aggression, the first thing I tell people, I don't know what breed, age, gender, I don't even know what I'm dealing with. The first thing I tell them is, if you cannot get this dog off the furniture or the bed, I can't help you. That's how
Wow.
important that is. Because if you ever saw National Geographic where there's a pack moving, you have one in the front, the pack hangs behind.
Yep.
One's leading, the rest are subordinate.
Yeah.
If they get too close to that leader, guess what? The correction's immediate and severe. There's only one leader of the pack.
Are you able, wait, before I forget, I'm
Go ahead.
sorry to interrupt you as well.
that's
This is
okay.
so cool. Are you able to help with how to get the dog off the couch or the bed?
Oh, it's so simple, yes.
Oh.
It's so simple.
Oh, I see.
See, if you touch a dog, you praise them. So if you grab the collar, you touch them. The dog gets confused because they're hearing the tone, seeing the body language, but you're praising them. What the heck is wrong with you? From the dog's perspective, right? So you put a leash and a collar or a harness, depending on the breed, okay? Because some, like the Whippets and the, greyhounds can't have they have to have a harness.
Right.
So you put that on them, and you have a leash attached to them. Yeah, you let them drag it around. And then if they go up on the bed, you casually, calmly go over, get the leash. No, you do not use the dog name when you're correcting or commanding them, or they learn to not like their name. It's just no, and you pull them off.
gosh.
As soon as their paws hit the ground, good boy or good girl. It is that quick. The dog, it's not complicated. When I'm up here, I'm hearing no and feeling a correction.
Right.
And it's just a little tug. The important aspect of that is every dog in the world, even this 5-pounder right here, is grabbed by their mother in the whelping litter. They're pinned, they're shook like an old dust mop. It's instinctive. So you're just giving it's not the physicality of the correction.
Right.
It's just to get the dog's attention to focus on you being displeased because you're the correction.
Boy, I tell you
So
what, that
it's-
makes perfect sense,
right. But-
And good that when I was a kid, my Basset Hound, she wasn't about that. I mean, never, I don't know if it was because her little short legs or she just wasn't about that, and my father used to, hey, how about I put the dog up in the bed and you sleep with her? I'm like,
We all thought that. We
I'm
all did
6.
that.
I'm 6. I'm like, okay, Daddy, sounds great.
We all did that.
And she'd be like 30 seconds in and she'd be like, yeah, I'm out. And down she'd go.
Because instinctively for her, and people, well, I wanted to finish what I was saying before.
Before he interrupted you, guys.
Wow, I'm just looking for information here.
That's okay. So here's some information.
That's 2 pancake socials that you were not invited to.
The important thing is when you do correct the dog, it ends positive. So you teach them
Right.
what it is expected, and they don't stress. It
Right.
builds their confidence. So, for example, with the bed, it's no. You just gently pull them off as soon as they land. Good boy or good girl.
Yeah.
People, we get our dogs because we want to pet them. You have to make sure the dog understands that touching is a perk in life and not its right. So first
Wait,
you have to.
Explain that.
So,
It's a
somebody,
privilege.
for example, there was a client I had yesterday, and it's a puppy, really cute fluff ball. What puppy isn't cute, right?
Right.
And they're petting it, and they're excessively petting it. Well, in their world, at that age and stage, oh, you must be submitting to me, showing me all this physical affection. I guess I'm the top dog here. So
Wow.
I tell people you got to make the dog earn it first. Tell them to sit. Give them one sit. And don't push down on the dog's back end. Okay?
Right.
2 reasons. You're stressing its vertebrae, its hips, its knees, everything. Its hips. What you do is you just very gently and slowly pick up the leash. When the dog's uncomfortable, it's going to sit. Don't take its paws off the ground or anything. You're not hanging it.
Right.
You're just saying it one time because you don't repeat the command. You teach the dog to listen the first time. If you keep repeating the command, you're teaching the dog to listen the 4th or 5th time. One time. So it's sit, and then you make it happen, and then good boy or good girl, then you pet it.
So what
Learn
we so in a nutshell, what we've been taught our entire lives about our dogs and how to train them
It ain't
has been
right.
wrong.
Well, listen,
wow.
old school, it didn't work. Not for some, it would. Like, listen, you have different personalities, but it's always that one. There's some dogs you never have an issue. They're more like your Basset Hound.
Right.
Right.
It was laid back, submissive personality. Nothing wrong with that, or not as intense. But then you have the other dogs, guard and protective breed,
Yeah,
for
sure.
example. It's imperative they know that they're responsible, to you and not for you, because that's where they get themselves. Their instincts get them and you in trouble.
What about cats?
I know nothing about cats. All I know is every dog and even myself respect them. Okay.
Okay,
Cats
but-
always rule.
So wait, I have a question. I know we're not going to stop there. I have a question because I also had cats. My daughter now has a cat. So I have a question about that. But shouldn't we look at them the same way?
Cats are different.
Okay.
I know they have colonies versus packs, okay? But
Oh.
cats are very independent.
Yes.
I don't know of any household where there's a cat and a dog and the cat's not the boss.
Oh
I
yeah.
agree.
You
I
know?
tell you what, I was in a household just like that. There were hold on, at one point there were 4 cats and the dog was just as pleasant as can be, like almost a Shetland sheepdog / collie if you shrunk it in the dryer a little bit. Okay, she was just cute as can be, and just a wonderful person. Again, my father used to love this dog because she was just happy. She was just la 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 la, and the one cat, whatever. I miss Kitty. I'm just doing my thing, and then Max would show up when Max wanted to show up. Okay, and Missy the cat, she was a tortoise hair cat, and she liked being off on her own. Lulu, the black Siamese, however, she was in charge in no uncertain terms. Dog would be sitting there, out would come Lulu from wherever she was, and she would and the dog would be like, what?
So wait, I have a little cat story to tell you, and I want your feedback on this. So my cat's name, I was young. I was maybe 9th grade, 8th grade, whatever. And the cat was a stray cat in Robbinsville, and it was outside my yard, and I grabbed it and brought it in and said, "You're mine."
Oh.
Okay. So my father used to go
Yoink.
crazy because we brought in all the strays, and he had to feed them and take care of them. Okay. So this cat hated everyone and was evil, except me. This cat slept with me. I would have the cat with its mouth open we would sleep in the chair together like this. No one could touch it or look at it. And we, of course, called it Tiger. Do you know anything about why that was and why it was okay with just me? And I mean attack everyone.
Animals are really good judges of character. Now, based on the fact you took it in off the street, I'm just going from the dog
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
perspective. Dogs do everything for a reason, so it's usually learned behavior. So, for example, I had a client, really, really nice couple, and they had this dog that they had rescued, right? Mochi was his name, her name, I'm sorry, and the dog was terrified of the husband. And he was the nicest guy. All he wanted,
Okay.
because that's indicative of the dog had been abused by a man.
Hello. Yeah.
Okay, so then maybe
So,
the
right.
cat was abused. Okay, all right.
And dogs and animals overall are good judges of character.
Yeah,
usually,
they
okay? I mean,
are.
I joke about cats, and I just want to preface something. If you have a dog that's a rescue or a stray that didn't get raised with cats, you have to be careful because they would kill a cat.
Right.
You have to be careful.
Well, we've got like 10 minutes left, and I know you're going to want to add some humor. Did you find something you want to talk about or no?
We've got a couple
And I
of
don't want
things
you to
into-
forget if there's anything you'd like to share as well.
I just want people to know that they could get my book. There's a link on my website, or you can go to Amazon, and it's available as a Kindle and as a hard copy.
Cool.
So I just want to get information.
And we're
out there.
doing something here, guys. I just want to add this before his nonsense. So Ruben, one of the owners of Hamilton Radio, is actually putting my book to audio, and also Doc G, the original owner of Hamilton Radio's wife who wrote a kid's book, he's doing hers. And the reason why this is incredible for me is my book was from Simon & Schuster. They published it. And you can't use your voice. And I get that. But I wanted my passion to read my book. And this guy, we've been working on it all week, so it's a new business that we're doing here at Hamilton Radio. You might be interested as well. We can get your book on audio with you here in studio reading it. Okay, just keep that in mind, and at very good price, because we're just starting.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm his guinea pig, and it's going amazing. So I would love to, maybe you even think about that, getting your voice on your book.
I would love to do that.
Okay, so we'll talk about that.
Okay.
And I know a guy, so I'll get you a really good price.
Okay.
Now, this guy, I
Well,
know
and to piggyback off of that kind of, little shameless self-promotion for Hamilton Radio, not for me, but for Hamilton Radio. But who knows? I may be involved in it. Yes, we just started this initiative about producing audiobooks because it's gotten to be such a real thing. It's a real, I mean, whether it's you're in the car, sitting in traffic, you're on the bus, on the train, sitting at the beach, outside on a weekend, inside on a weekend, whatever, it's sometimes it's kind of neat to hear the book. So we do that. We do short form, long form audio as well. Whether it's corporate videos, whether it's safety, OSHA type related instructional, or what have you, kind of audio for a video. If it's audio and even some video too, because you mentioned Ruben.
we're going to mess with it, and we're going to add background music.
Well, we have the ability to do a little bit of everything. Long story very short, there are divisions of Hamilton Radio that can do audio as well as video. So we're happy to oblige, we're happy to help, and we're happy to be a part of your next project. If you've got something or know somebody who does, or if you just want to know some information for down the road a piece, jot it down. Here's the email address. It's admin, A-D-M-I-N, admin at hamiltonradio.net. Again, admin at hamiltonradio.net. And I bet you when we get your book done, it'll really be something to talk about. It really will be a lot of fun.
I cannot wait.
I tell you, it's
Okay.
my rhetorical question, not to you, but just in general, is why didn't we do this sooner? Holy crap, all of a sudden the light bulb went on and here we are. So audio books, short form, long form, commercials for business.
That's right. That's right.
Groups, businesses, organizations, industry. You need audio and video. Admin, and email please, admin at hamiltonradio.net. So there it is.
Well,
Greater good.
I want to give everyone my website as well.
Hit it.
Okay, www.geripetito.com. Of course, GERIPETITO. Everything's there, even for my book. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. I'd rather be a smart ass than a dumbass, guys. Everything's there, and a lot of shows are there on my website, and plus the Jerry Petito Show YouTube channel, the JT and the Jersey Jewel YouTube channel, and
Thank
then...
you.
Do you have one for John Thielon yet?
I do not, but I mean, you know what? I do my other program, Common Ground with John Thielon, more of an opinion editorial, keeping it real, being positive and upbeat and sharing about it. Basically, I'm providing information for you over on the other program. It's not like like we do over here sometimes. It's not. It's information, things I've experienced, things I've seen, and others too, and I incorporate it all. It's information. Do with it what you like. Take what you can use. Leave the rest. Go to YouTube.
Yes.
Yeah, it's simple as that. Go to YouTube and just do a quick search for Common Ground with John Thielon. T as in Tom, H-E-I-L-L-O-N. Yeah.
I always say to everybody, no matter what we're talking about or what you're reading, take the good and leave the bad.
Yeah.
Don't complain. Don't,
Nope.
you know what I mean? Don't bash, because
Nope.
there's always something to learn. Even if you don't agree with 75% of it, you're going to find something no matter what you're reading, and you're going to be like, wow, that is just ridiculously cool.
Yeah.
So now, why don't you do your nonsense, and we're going to make you close with any information you want to still share.
Around the world, up the street, and down your block, it's news of the unusual. So here we go. To be B-E-E, or not to be B-E-E. So recently, it says here that 54-year-old Yoel Torres was apprehended for breaking into the American Bee Project located in Hialeah, Florida. He was apprehended for stealing beehives and letting the bees escape. He was spotted on surveillance cameras by breaking into the facility, the beekeeping facility, on multiple occasions, it says here, dating back several weeks. The surveillance footage shows Torres parking his truck outside of the American Bee Project. The suspect climbed over barbed wire fencing and put on a beekeeper's suit before he removed the hives and placed them on the bed of his truck. Mr. Torres was always also spotted removing the tops off of the hives, purposely off of the hives, so letting the bees out, causing $3,500 in losses for the American Bee Project. Fortunately, the surveillance footage captured Torres's license plate as well, duh, which aided into the apprehension of the bee
Did it have the word
thief.
"bee" in the license plate? All right. Go
I don't know.
Okay.
So the investigators performing this sting, thank you very much. Torres told them that he believed that the beehives to be abandoned. What? Okay, he claimed that he did not steal said bees as he was given permission, quote, by a woman who he had spoken to over the phone. She said that he could take them. Yoel Torres, he was charged with 4 counts of grand theft, 6 counts of trespassing, and 1 count of criminal mischief. He was later released on his own recognizance from Miami-Dade Corrections after posting $12,500 bond. There he is. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, the NBC Dancing N, or in this case, our good friend Ruben. When Torres arrived home later that day, his wife asked what he'd been doing all day. His reply, "Nuttin', honey."
Nuttin', honey. That was
Yeah,
cereal.
this guy's one honey of an L, isn't he? KYW News Time, 6:25. Traffic and weather together on the 8s.
Okay, guys, just so you know, I never know what he's doing.
That's right.
Because I want to be as shocked at his stupidity as you guys. But let me ask you something, and
It's a
then
little
you can
hurtful.
comment. So,
Yeah.
what, honestly, like, why?
We don't know the
We
why.
still don't know. Like-
No, we don't know
like-
the why because the guy's a nut.
Well, I go to Bob's.
He's a
Bees.
honey nut.
He's a honey
Thank
nut.
you. Thank you.
I have been using local honey for 30 years, and I go to Bob's Bees in Bordentown, baby. So if anyone's local in the Trenton area of New Jersey, you got to use Bob's Bees. All right, so that's pretty cool, except I really still need to know why. So stay on this,
Oh, yeah, I'll get right on top of that.
okay? Do you want to say
Wink.
anything about the bees?
I got nothing.
Before we close, guys, I would like you to make sure you didn't forget to say anything. You have time. Look into the camera, tell the audience anything you'd like to tell them.
First, I want to thank you both for
Oh,
having me on your show.
This was great.
And for the opportunity just to get some information out there that there's different methods of training. It's not just food-based. There's not just, there's different methods. So if something's not working, maybe try something else before you know it's a wash. That's all. And please, my book, honestly, it's not that expensive. It's just general information. It could really help. So I just
Yeah, I
want to
need that
get
book.
information out there, honestly.
Well, and the thing of it is, and again, right down below here, below our little photo here, it's www.callingallcanines.com.
I love it.
Calling all canines, calling all canines. See the German Shepherd, corner of 5th and Main, handle code 3.
You know what's cool about this book, though? I want to give you a plug now. So, as an animal lover, okay, what's cool about this book is this. I don't have an animal right now, okay, but I'm getting the book.
Yes, but you are such an animal.
That's right.
Oh,
Okay, I'm getting the book because
Little
wouldn't
Charles
it be
Nelson
cool
Riley for you. There
if
you
you read this book and could tell your friends with animals
Yeah.
how much you know about what they're doing wrong, right?
Yeah, and it gives you the
Yeah.
why. It gives
Gives
you
you the
why.
why, right.
Yeah.
Well, and that's
love
the
this.
that's the beauty part. It's not just an admonishment, or it's not an admonishment at all. I ought to say it's okay. You know what, folks, we've been doing it all wrong for all these years, but we didn't know it. We did the best we had with what we had. Now we've got different. We know differently. Again, callingallcanines.com.
Love this.
Okay? Callingallcanines.com. That's where you can learn a little bit. You can order the book. You can act, interact, react, counteract with Sheri over here. And, if you or somebody you know has got a little dog friend who, or not a little, not so little dog friend maybe, who's, needs a little something, for the effort. Callingallcanines.com is the ticket, I'm telling you.
There's
Well,
one thing I want to say,
ahead,
if I
yes.
could. The one thing about this book, that was written like a while ago before I had the little one. The toy breeds are a little different.
Okay.
As far as they're not in a crate, they're in a pen, like I'd mentioned
Okay.
earlier,
Mhm.
okay? With food and water, and they have
Okay.
to have access. There's no food or water in a crate with a mid-sized to large
Okay.
dog, but with the little ones need it. So there is a little bit of difference.
Okay.
And the little ones, never a collar, always a harness.
Hence the necessity to access www.callingallcanines.com. That's calling all, each and every one, callingallcanines.com.
So we want to thank you because I knew this was going to be a cool interview, but I didn't
agree.
think it was going to be this much fun and enlightening
Thank you.
because I ask questions about everything. He thinks he knows everything, but I kind of ask questions.
Wow, that's,
I mean, oh, did I say that? Oh, darn it, I'm sorry.
it's so exhausting being so correct so often, but I digress.
John Thielon, everybody.
Thank you very much.
We are so honored to have had you.
Thank you.
And again, Tim, love you, man. Tim Calabas, my Christian buddy. We love God, and God is good. And you know what? I am so happy about this interview today because it's opened my eyes to so much. And I cannot wait to read your book. And just having that dog kissing me today just made my day. So thank you, sweetheart.
Sheri Venza,
Thank
thank
you.
you very much. You've said it all. You've maybe said enough, but probably not. But you've said it all. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. It was an honor. Thank you.
It was pleasure's ours.
John Thielon, it was amazing.
Jerry Petito, it was amazing.
All right, everybody, take us out, Ruben.
Let's music.
Share this
let's
video,
musicificate.
guys.